This is the warm-up for lesson 2.3, Key Features of a Graph. If you haven't already done the warm-up, then please pause the video, do the warm-up, and then come back and check your answers. Numbers 1, 2, and 3, you're going to write the equation line. You should be using point-slope form. And so when we use point-slope form, it's because we have a point and we have a slope, which we do right here, x sub 1, y sub 1, and then our m. So I'm going to write y minus 1 equals negative 3 times x minus negative 4. And then you simplify. So negative 3x minus 12, and I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And that's the equation of the line. Number 2, I do not have a slope, so first thing is I need to find one. So I would do 8 minus 7 over negative 1 minus negative 1. When that happens, I'm going to have 1 over 0, which that makes me think, wait a second, something's up. Look at your ordered pairs. Do you notice that both of the x's are negative 1? That means that this is a vertical line. The equation is x equals negative 1. And you can check that by graphing. So if you did negative 1, positive 8, and negative 1, positive 7, sure enough, it's going through the x-axis at negative 1, vertical line. Okay, number 3. You're going to find a slope first. So 1 minus 0 over 4 minus negative 1. Watch your signs. 1 over 5. So my slope is 1/5. Okay, putting my line together, I'm going to use one of the points. It doesn't matter which one. I always prefer to use one that has 0 if I can, because it just makes the math easier. So y minus 0 is just y. 1/5, oh, that's an x. 1/5 x, and then minus 4/5. And you can just leave it like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That just means that if you were to graph it, your y-intercept would be at, if this was 1, your y-intercept would be at 4/5. And then you would go up 1 and over 5. So, or it would be the same thing as if you went up 1 whole and then over 5 like that. So, okay, so it's going to be that. Okay, the next questions, 4 and 5. We are going to practice writing an equation line that is parallel to the line that you're given. So number 4, the line that we're given is y equals 7. So because there's not an x and a y, that needs to make you think, wait a second, something's up. So if it just says y equals 7, think about what that looks like. It means that the line is going to be going through the y-axis at 7, horizontal, slope equals 0. So anything parallel will also be horizontal, slope 0. So anything parallel is going to get an equation of y equals and then a number, so look at your point, it's going to be y equals 8. That is parallel, and it is going to go through the point negative 2, positive 8. And you could check that, to make sure, but if you have your line y equals 7, and then y equals 8 is going to go like that, they're parallel, so there you go. Okay, number 5, we're going to go parallel to this line. So I need to know what my slope is. The slope of that line is 3. So anything that's parallel will also have a slope of 3. So now that I know what my slope is, and I have a point to use, I will use point-slope formula. And I'm going to simplify. Y plus 11 equals positive 3x minus 36. I'm going to subtract 11 from both sides. And that would be y equals 3x minus 25. Now remember that you can always check this to make sure by taking your x or your 12 and plugging it in for x, and your negative 11 plugging it in for y. So negative 11 equals 3 times 12 minus 25. Check and see. So negative 11 is equal to 36 minus 25, and that's equal to positive 11. So that's telling me that something went wrong, and I see what it is now. If I go back and look, I should have subtracted 11 from both sides. So that should actually be 47, negative 47. And that's one of the reasons why you want to check once in a while. Make sure you're doing things right. It's really easy to make a small mistake. So I am going to go back and try this again. So I'm going to say negative 11 equals 3 times 12 minus 47. Negative 11 equals 36 minus 47. And sure enough, that is equal to negative 11. And so I know that that's the right equation. Okay, 6 and 7, we're going to get a line that's perpendicular. And so looking at the line that I'm given, I need to look at the slope. The slope of this line is negative 2. Okay, so keep in mind that we're looking for something perpendicular. So if the slope is negative 2, then something perpendicular is going to be opposite sign and reciprocal. So it's going to be a positive 1/2. That's the slope I'm going to use. So using my point and my slope, I'm going to write y minus 8 equals 1/2 times x minus negative 2. The most common mistake that people make on these types of problems right here is not doing the perpendicular. They'll just do something parallel, or they will just change the sign and say that the perpendicular slope is equal to 2, and that's not true. So I'm going to have y minus 8 equals 1/2, and then x, and then half of 2 is 1. I'm going to add 8 to both sides, and that's the equation. And then number 7, the line I'm given is y equals 4. So again, stop and think. That's only got one variable. What does it look like? It goes to the y-axis at 4. So I want something perpendicular. Perpendicular is going to go through the x-axis. Okay, so where do I want it to go through the x-axis? I want it to go through the x-axis at 12, negative 11. So it's going to be right there. So it's going to go through the x-axis at 12. So with questions or with problems like that where you only have one variable in your equation, you do have to stop and think and visualize what that looks like, maybe draw a picture of it. These types of questions are really hard for people to wrap their head around when they're learning how to do this. It's really not that hard though, because if it says y equals 4, it means the line goes through the y-axis. If it says x equals 12, it goes through the x-axis. And so that's one way that you can remember that. Okay, the rest of the lesson will continue in the following videos.